Come all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
My daddy was a miner and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Oh, workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be a lousy scab or will you be a man?
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Don't scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
And just because he's human, a man would like a little bite to eat. He won't get full on a lot of talk that would give him bread and meat.
Go left, 2, 3, go left, 2, 3, do the work that we must do. March on in the Workers' United Front, for you are a worker too.
And just because he's human, he doesn't like a pistol to his head. He wants no servants under him and no boss overhead.
Go left, 2, 3, go left, 2, 3, do the work that we must do. March on in the Workers' United Front, for you are a worker too.
And just because he's a worker, the job is all his own. The liberation of the working class is the work of the workers alone.
Go left, 2, 3, go left, 2, 3, do the work that we must do. March on in the Workers' United Front, for you are a worker too.
This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Labor Day, at least here in the United States. And don't forget, they did that to you to kind of separate you from your commie buddies. God damn it, my camera is giving me a hard time tonight. They don't want you celebrating May Day with the rest of the world. This is a little too commie. That's why here in the United States, we have Labor Day. Happy Labor Day to everyone. Flash, M. Lord, Anonymously, OT Marty, Clinically, good evening, welcome. Special Labor Day intro. I really like the fall time of year because we do a lot of different special intros. I have my Halloween intro, my Christmas intro, New Year's intro. I really like the Labor Day intro, and I use it on May Day as well. Because we are dirty commies over here, and we celebrate May Day as well. Any day you can take to highlight workers and the labor movement is a good day. And Flash, we are going to get a dose of Sean Fain spoke to Democracy Now! I believe it was earlier today. Might have been yesterday. We're going to hear from Kamala Harris. We're going to hear from Tim Walz, both giving speeches today at Labor Day events. Here's your meme of the day. Me, when I see someone stealing food or baby formula. I wouldn't even consider myself a socialist. It's okay, M. Lord. We cover the entire spectrum. Ain't see shit. Give you a bonus one. I'm seeing double here. 4-eye pussies? Quesadilla, good evening. You ain't see shit. You ain't see shit. We're going to talk about Labor Day's violent beginnings. We're going to tell you all about strikes going on all across the country. We're going to show our support for hotel workers all across the nation, United flight attendants, at least in Florida. I think they're all across the country. We're going to show solidarity with Fred Meyer's workers on strike in Portland, Oregon. As I said, we're going to hear from Sean Fain. Jim Gaffigan apparently has some Labor Day complaints. We're going to talk about a different kind of strike that's been going on today in Israel, as at least six hostages found dead, apparently due to Israel's actions, is sparking a wave of outrage and fresh protests against Netanyahu. A far-right party has won in Germany for the first time since World War II. Volodymyr Zelensky has fired his Air Force commander after a plane crash. Speaking of planes, the plane of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was seized by the U.S. government. We're going to talk about the lack of care Mpox patients are receiving in Africa. Trump says he had every right to interfere in the election. I'm going to drop the hottest music video of the summer on you. No, it's not Light One Up, Tip One Back. Rips for JustinFREAKIN by the Media Winch, unfortunately. I believe I have one that will top that. The newest jam by Laura Trump. A coach has quit her job after being featured on a radio show, podcast, mocking the son of Vice Presidential candidate Tim Walz. Fortunately, I have an update for you on the missing nudist couple, and I don't believe it's a good one. A plane crashed in Oregon, killing multiple people. Wild footage. We've got a hit-and-run escape attempt in New York City, leading to a suspect being pinned under a vehicle. Dallas police have released body cam of a fatal shooting. A Pentagon Mall robbery has prompted a lockdown earlier today. Street takeover cars rammed into a bus. We have body cam footage of a Florida mayor being arrested. A geyser flooded the streets of Encino. And Alex Stein is going to teach some babies about their white privilege. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol live. Good evening, Flash. How are you, my friend? Anybody else sneak in here on me? Quesadilla, M. Lord. Glad to see everyone. Welcome to a special Labor Day edition of the Troll Patrol Live. Socialist Aunt, good evening. Not just my socialist aunt, but also your socialist aunt. That includes any of you that are listening to the podcast. She is your socialist aunt as well. Fuck working on a Labor Day. But, hey, if you have volunteered and you get that time and a half, get it. Get that paper, I guess. That's all I got to say. 4-eye pussies. I'm not high enough for this shit. We're going to start it off tonight. I can think of no better story to start off with here on this Labor Day. I'm not even going to intro it. I'm just going to let the news station tell you all about it.
A Tempe Wells Fargo employee died at her desk. And 12 News is now confirming that it may have taken as many as 4 days for anyone in the office to notice. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us for 12 News at 10. I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis.
So it was the smell. If the body hadn't started to decompose, nobody in the office even would have noticed. What does that say about the job that the person was doing? How nobody was noticing that the job wasn't getting done. What does that say about how useless Wells Fargo is? This is your Labor Day top story. This is the quintessential United States capitalism story.
Employee died at her desk. And 12 News is now confirming that it may have taken as many as 4 days for anyone in the office to notice. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us for 12 News at 10. I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. It's a story we first reported yesterday. Tonight, Tempe police are confirming the timeline of when the woman clocked in to when her colleagues found the body. 12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra is in the studio with new details tonight. Gabby, 4 days. I mean, this poor woman went 4 days undiscovered. It's hard to believe.
And that's a question many employees are asking themselves tonight. I spoke with an employee who said that she shared her perspective on the workplace environment, and they say it's a big building, but most people don't work there on a daily basis. A Wells Fargo employee went to work the morning of Friday, August 16th and never went home. Tempe police tell 12 News 60-year-old Denise Prudhomme scanned into work at 7 o'clock in the morning. 4 days later, police responded to the office building near Washington Street and Priest Drive for reports of a subject down. Prudhomme was declared dead. The Tempe Police Criminal Investigation Bureau is investigating, but do not suspect foul play. A Wells Fargo employee exclusively spoke with 12 News, but asked not to be recorded or identified out of fear for their job. They say a colleague found Prudhomme dead at her desk in a cubicle while walking around the building on Tuesday, August 20th. Prudhomme's cubicle was reportedly on the 3rd floor and away from the main aisle. This employee says several people had smelled a...
Yes, to be fair, since she went in on a Friday, there were a couple days that, probably just janitors, security people, they might not have even noticed, been paying attention. Holiday, good evening.
Foul odor, but passed it off as faulty plumbing. They say while most Wells Fargo employees at this Tempe location work remote, the building has 24/7 security, and someone should have found Prudhomme sooner. The incident left several employees feeling scared and uneasy. This employee wants to see new safety protocols in place, telling me, quote, "It's negligence in some part." A different worker also spoke with 12 News anonymously.
It was just uncomfortable.
Again, calling on the company to do more.
Body was there about 4 days before anybody found it, before anybody walked up to her and just to say hi, make sure she's okay. She was just laying on her desk.
A Wells Fargo spokesperson previously sent 12 News a statement saying, in part, "We are deeply saddened by the tragic loss."
They probably already hired somebody.
Adding counselors through our employee assistance.
Especially because this story is a week old. So they have totally already hired somebody. There's somebody sitting at that desk already.
Assistance consulting service are available to support employees. An employee tells me their direct management offered those services, addressed the incident, and told workers the building was thoroughly cleaned. And a Wells Fargo spokesperson did not have new information to share with me tonight. The Maricopa County Medical Examiner is investigating the cause of death. In studio, Gabriela Becerra, 12 News.
All right,
Well, it was really hot in Arizona, so that could be one of the issues. An old lady, and it was fucking hot. That is an example of why the labor movement has had to get violent at times throughout its history to win protections and benefits.
In the early 1880s, labor conditions were pretty hard. A lot of new immigrants were coming to America. They were reasonably unskilled, but often quite cheap labor, and they were exploited for such, so that the typical workday could be 12
Same old
hours.
story.
They often worked 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. Child labor was not allowed, but it wasn't regulated, and so kids as young as 6, 7, 8, 10 worked in the mills, and the conditions were not terribly safe. There were terrible accidents that occurred. The first Labor Day was September 1882. The founder probably was Matthew McGuire. He helped to organize a major march and demonstration to affirm labor's rights. And 10,000 people marched. That was a Tuesday.
One up, tip one back for all the workers out there.
What triggered a national Labor Day in 1894 was a rather dramatic strike that took place. The Pullman workers in Chicago went out on strike. The federal government intervened because the Pullman cars, basically with a boycott of them, stopped the American railway system from operating. So the federal troops were called out to crush the strike. People were killed. It was a terribly violent strike. It was not a happy day for labor. Government, being politicians, wanted labor on their side, and so as a concession, they then passed legislation authorizing a Labor Day, first Monday in September from then on. Labor Day has evolved since 1894. Increasingly, even the marches and the parades became really opportunities for a patriotic holiday more than actually a celebration of labor per se.
But the union makes us strong.
We have paid holidays because of the labor movement. We have a 8-hour day because of the labor movement. We have paid vacations because of a labor movement. We have health care, those of us who still have it, because of the labor movement. And it's a chance really to recognize those kinds of gains. But over time, it's become much more than that. It has become, for all of us, the marker of the end of summer, the beginning of school, an opportunity for picnics, for barbecues. In its own way, ironically, Labor Day is as much about consumption as it is about labor nowadays. I'd like to think that the problems facing
that's sad.
are on people's minds. I'm sure that they are on people's minds. I'm not sure that Labor Day is triggering those concerns anymore. And that's unfortunate.
That was like a decade old, so things are moving in the right direction now. It was like 15 years old. We're going to show our solidarity with several strikes currently ongoing in the country. the hotel workers across the country.
Employees, meantime, are on strike around the country today. The walkout began yesterday, and it's expected to last at least another day. It's directly impacting 24 hotel properties around the country operated by Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott, and Fairmont. Lauren Kaori-Gurley is a labor reporter at the Washington Post covering the story for us. Lauren, thanks for joining us. First off, who's striking?
What kind of a shitty-ass job is it to be a labor reporter at the Washington Post?
And why?
Good morning, Amory. Happy Labor Day. So there are about 10,000 workers in 8 cities striking at Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt. That goes from the East Coast cities like Boston to West Coast, California, San Francisco, San Jose, San Diego, all the way to Hawaii. And so they belong to the powerful Hospitality Workers Union Unite Here, which says that workers are striking for higher pay, increased staffing, and reduced workloads. The union has accused the hotels of using COVID-era lockdowns as a pretext to permanently cut costs.
You know, I got to tell you, I was on vacation not too long ago. And I did notice that not only were my towels not changed, which is something that's happening more.
Lenny, good evening.
But the room wasn't cleaned. And now I'm realizing that that probably was part of these COVID era changes that just, I guess, never went away. And does that mean reduced staffing at a lot of these hotels?
Yeah, exactly. So I spoke to a striking worker in San Diego, for example, Christian Carbajal, who said that, you know, they shut down room service in his hotel, which means that he's now working sort of as a grab and go attendant at the market at the front of the restaurant. That means he says $800 less in his pocket every month because he's lost most of his tips. So there's all sorts of services that have been suspended or reduced in hotels, major hotel brands around the country.
Could we see this strike expand?
Certainly. So it's expected to expand today even. The union has not said where yet, but there are a number of other cities that have authorized strikes. We could also see more hotels going out on strike in cities that are already on strike.
And then, okay, so what if you're traveling? You know, a lot of people are on vacation. Either they started before Labor Day or they're extending it past Labor Day. Any tips for travelers? How should they deal with these?
Gratilla, good evening. Welcome.
Sure. So I would expect that most of the hotels that are on strike many of the hotels will have limited service. You'll have managers picking up the slack, daily housekeeping and services like pool and spa and restaurants may be very short staffed. And the union, Unite Here, is actually asking guests who are scheduled to stay at these hotels to cancel their stays immediately in solidarity with those workers. And they're asking them to also demand a full refund without a cancellation fee.
And then what are we hearing from the hotel operators?
Fuck them.
So I've gotten comment from Hilton and Hyatt. Both say that they've been willing to negotiate. They are willing to still negotiate for a fair deal for their workers. We did not receive a response from Marriott.
All right, Lauren Kaori-Gurley, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I bet it sucks being a labor reporter for the Washington Post. This is the Labor Day special, the Troll Patrol Live. We are showing solidarity with several strikes happening across the country. The United Flight Attendant and Mechanics on strike currently. We're going to go to a report from a Tampa news station. Okay, maybe not, because maybe I gotta sign in or some shit. What? A majority of United Airlines flight attendants voted to authorize a strike, but no action is being taken except for informational picketing. This is a story published yesterday. The Flight Attendants Union said negotiations with the airline is moving slow. The flight attendants are hoping to put pressure on management during contract negotiations. This is, of course, happening on a busy travel weekend, but the good news is that the airline said there are no work stoppages or labor disruptions, but flight attendants aren't the only ones fighting for a better contract. Aircraft maintenance technicians in Tampa are also pushing for better wages. There are about 200 United maintenance workers at Tampa International Airport. They said negotiations for a better contract have dragged on for too long. They want a solution as soon as possible. The workers want better wages, higher safety standards, and better health care coverage, all reasonable demands. There are more than 10,000 mechanics that work for United, and union reps say the airline is slow-walking negotiations. They also stand in solidarity with flight attendants. It's not only the cost of living with rent, buying homes, food, anything like that, according to Gus Pappas, Chief Steward for United Maintenance at Tampa International. It's also the cost of our medical insurance. The premiums have just skyrocketed. They have not kept up with our pay, and the deductibles have just gotten out of control. United put out a statement related to the flight attendant strike, saying, to be clear, there is no work stoppage. That's all they care about. Listen, your flight is not going to be canceled. There is no work stoppage or labor disruption. Instead, off-duty flight attendants are exercising their right to conduct an informational picket. So that is the update on the United flight attendants and maintenance workers. Let's go to Portland, where workers at Fred Meyer are continuing to strike. There are apparently about 4,000 workers.
More than 4,000 Fred Meyer employees are on the picket lines again in Portland for the second day today. This as negotiators headed back to the table today to continue working toward a new contract agreement. In our continuing coverage tonight, around 4,500 UFCW Local 555 union members from 28 different locations throughout the area are currently on strike, protesting what they're calling unfair labor practices, like failure to live up to current contract commitments and failure to be cooperative during negotiations on a new one. The union and Fred Meyer have been in contract talks since late July. So what sent them to the picket lines? Well, according to one official from UFCW Local 555, this all started because the company communicated directly to workers about retirement benefits when they should have instead presented that in their contract negotiations.
Look, you cannot directly deal with members when it comes to retirement. We have not seen a proposal on retirement at the bargaining table yet, and yet they're telling our members that we have a retirement proposal. It's not true. They don't.
Now, this comes in the middle of a federal challenge to a proposed merger between grocery giants Kroger, which owns Fred Meyer, and Albertsons, which also owns Safeway. However, the strike is completely unrelated. Now, that case could take up to 3 weeks. Negotiations continue tomorrow, and as of now, the strike is only
I hope that shit gets denied.
Tuesday. Fred Meyer's president says while they respect their associates' right to collectively bargain and decision to strike, stores will remain open, and at least one location has a listing for temporary employees. Now, we just
don't be a scab
because of the proposed merger, but it does play a role in everything here. Fred Meyer's president says the merger is necessary to secure the future of unionized grocery stores and protect workers like those who are striking. The union, on the other hand, pulled their support of the merger earlier this month. There's a lot more that goes into all of this. We'll break it all down for you tomorrow on KEZI 9 News.
I think this news report happened last night. It was posted 3 days ago. Strike expected to last. Let's hear from the president of the UAW on this Labor Day. Spoke with Democracy Now!
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report.
Hello, Amy.
We end this Labor Day special with Shawn Fain, president of the United Auto Workers. In August, he addressed the Democratic National Convention.
Good evening, America, and good evening to the people that make this world move, the working class. On behalf of 1 million active and retired members of the UAW, I am honored to support Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to be our next president and vice president. And I want to say thank you to Joe Biden for making history by walking the picket line with the UAW.
Come on, man.
To Biden.
For the UAW and for working class people everywhere, this election comes down to one question. Which side are you on?
Yeah, I popped for the reference
We have Kamala Harris and Tim Walz
in my intro video tonight.
shoulder to shoulder with the working class. On the other side, we have Trump and Vance. Two lapdogs for the billionaire class who only serve themselves. So for us in the labor movement, it's real simple. Kamala Harris is one of us. She's a fighter for the working class. And Donald Trump is a scab. That's not just my opinion, that's a fact. All we have
It is a fact.
is look at the track record. When Donald Trump was president, corporate America ran wild. Donald Trump did not bring back the auto industry.
Wait a minute, I thought she was interviewing Sean Fain.
When Donald Trump was president, auto plants closed.
We already watched this.
Did nothing. Trump told workers in Lordstown, Ohio, that he would be bringing all the auto jobs back. And Trump...
Amy pulled a fake out on me.
In 2019, General Motor workers went on strike for 40 days for good jobs and a better life. And Trump did nothing. Talk is cheap. But in 2019, you know who was on the picket line standing shoulder to shoulder with auto workers?
Joe Biden.
I'll give you a clue. Her initials are Kamala Harris.
Come on, man.
I didn't know Harris was out there.
Who helped bring jobs back to Lordstown, Ohio? Kamala Harris.
Amy did give us a clip show.
And in 2024, who will stand with the working class in our fight for justice? Kamala Harris.
Spoiler alert, he takes his jacket off.
And that's the difference. Donald Trump is all talk, and Kamala Harris walks the walk.
Yeah, Flash.
Woo. In the words of the great American poet, Nellie.
Nelly.
It's hot in here.
I'm sorry I got psyched out. I thought we were getting a fresh Sean Fain interview. My apologies. This is fresh campaign rally from earlier today. Kamala Harris was in Pennsylvania, I believe. Pretty good place to be on a Labor Day if you're campaigning.
Most people are spending the holiday at home. The Democratic ticket is hitting the campaign trail. Skylar Henry shares what VP Harris is focusing on ahead of her appearance with President Joe Biden.
President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris were
it was Harris and Biden
together at the Democratic National Convention after the president's speech on night one. The two will make their first campaign appearance together since Harris was elevated to nominee later today at a union hall in Pittsburgh.
But I thought I had fucking footage. God damn it.
State of Michigan, greeting workers in the union stronghold of Detroit.
When I am president, we will pass the PRO Act and end union busting once and for all.
Her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, met with labor leaders in his state before speaking at a Labor Day event in Milwaukee.
Vice President Harris, as a protector of democracy, when we win this election, we'll have your back just like you've had our back.
The campaign says the Biden-Harris administration is the most pro-labor in history and claims the Trump administration was anti-worker and anti-union. Union members are an important base of support in this year's election.
Very important for Democrats. It's a key part of the Biden 2020 coalition that Harris is looking to replicate this time around.
Give it up for President Donald J. Trump.
The Republican nominee took a break from campaigning this holiday weekend, criticizing the current administration's immigration policies at an event Friday night.
Many of these people are criminals. Many of these people are coming out of the
You're a criminal. You're literally a criminal.
roughest countries in the world.
The campaigns are intensifying, with a little more than 2 months to go until Election Day. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
And as that unfolds, here are some important dates to remember for
DJ Dub.
In just 4 days from now, September 6th, marks 60 days before the general election. Anyone still needing to register to vote must do so before October 7th. If you don't, you will not be able to vote this November. As for early voting, that gets underway starting October 21st.
We are less than 2 weeks away from the presidential debate. And I think we've got a Senate debate the night after that. Debate season is ramping up. This was Harris's event earlier today in Detroit.
I tell people, look, you may not be a union member. You better thank a union member. For the 5-day work week, you better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time. When unions are strong, America is strong.
Why is she doing the hand thing? That's like the Donald Trump hand thing. I don't like it. Don't do that. Don't do your hands like that, ma'am.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
I feel like she's trying to do the preacher thing, which I think is in vogue right now. Like a Reverend Warnock. Tim Walz, I think he was in Milwaukee. Also a state. Good thing they're campaigning in. God damn it.
First off, let me say, some of you might have heard, some of my staff and members of the press that were traveling up with us were involved in a traffic accident on the way here today.
Yep.
We've spoken with the staff. I'm relieved to say that with a few minor injuries, everybody's going to be okay. So, thank you. President Biden and Vice President Harris called to check in, and we certainly appreciate their concern. And I want to express my sincere thanks to the U.S. Secret Service and all the local first responders for their quick reaction to help. So on behalf of the Vice President, myself, and our entire campaign, we're grateful for your work today and every day. Thank you. Happy Labor Day, folks.
I have not, but it doesn't surprise me, Flash.
I have to tell you, I can't think of a better way to spend it than at Labor Fest right over here. I'm grateful for that. All of the policy positions, all of the good policy positions, all of the things we know to be true. But we get a rare opportunity, too, to put an end to that divisiveness, to put it behind us, a future where we work together. And as I said, there's a lot of differences in here. We're a big tent party. We got a lot of differences that can come together. But at the end of the day, to find that new way forward, we put those differences aside and let's get together for 64 days to take this country forward. Let's move on.
He was born in a small town. Fucking Democrats chanting USA. Very wild change of pace. Finish up our Labor Day coverage with Jim Gaffigan, who apparently has some complaints about Labor Day.
Here in the middle of this 3-day weekend, Jim Gaffigan has thoughts on 3-day weekends.
Tomorrow is Labor Day, a moment for us to recognize the many contributions workers have made to America's strength, prosperity, and well-being. It's an important day. It's also a 3-day weekend, which on the surface sounds amazing. Who doesn't want another day in the weekend? Well, I don't. Now, before you think I'm just a grumpy old man who looks really good because he lost some weight, allow me to explain. These 3-day weekends are always followed by a stressful 4-day work week. Things we normally would do in a 5-day work week are now stuffed into 4 days. I don't like that.
No. You're a comedian.
A 3-day weekend is never fun. That extra day of sleeping in for me convinces my body that I'll never have to wake up early again. Waking up a teenager on a Tuesday after a 3-day weekend is virtually impossible. Unnecessary drama. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. It makes more sense to play volleyball with a hornet's nest. I don't want that. 3-day weekends present unnecessary
punch Jim Gaffigan.
Socialize. If it's a normal weekend like God intended, I don't have to do anything. But you add just 1 day more to a weekend, and suddenly I'm hosting a barbecue? Strangers are coming over and looking at my stuff? For some reason, I'm being invited to my daughter's boyfriend's dad's uncle's place for a night in Rhode Island? I don't want to do any of that.
Rhode Island ain't real.
3-day weekends always mean travel disasters. Doesn't matter which day you travel on a 3-day weekend, there's traffic.
That's true.
That normally would take 40 minutes, suddenly now takes 12 hours. I'm convinced some of those 3-day weekend drivers are paid by the government to get in my way. You probably think I'm being paranoid, but you know who invented the 3-day weekend? That's right, the government.
Keith the Terry, what's up, my friend? I think Jim Gaffigan's off his fucking rocker. Fuck Jim Gaffigan. Go ahead and get the commercial break out of the way. That's what I was contemplating on. This was naturally the break I had in the news. I was like, that'll be where the commercial break goes, and we're not quite there. I can go ahead and take it a little early. So, if you're watching on Twitch, we're going to get the 3 minutes of commercials out of the way. When we come back, we're going to talk about the fucking insane protests in Israel. A new groundswell attempt to try to get Netanyahu to agree to a ceasefire. A far-right party has won in Germany for the first time since World War II. Volodymyr Zelensky has fired his Air Force commander after a plane crashed. The United States has seized a plane owned by Nicolas Maduro. Trump says he had every right to interfere in the election. All that and a lot freaking more. All your crime stories, I got some crazy ones. On the other side of the break, here on the Troll Patrol, live. 3 minutes. Go get you something to drink. Stay with us. There's a horrible transition to break. To be fair, Jim Gaffigan's kind of right. Like, I'm like jet lagged or something from a 3-day weekend. This wouldn't be happening if I got up and worked as if I normally do. I wouldn't be feeling the way I am right now. So in a way, Jim Gaffigan was kind of right. I hate to admit it. You missed the meme of the day. Mucho Jodo. Trump really did endorse the the amendment to the Constitution in Florida to legalize weed. If you would like, would you like me to give you his statement? It was the freaking news I put up earlier today. Ah, fuck. I shortened it down. I don't have the whole statement. My apologies. Try to keep those under a minute. That is fair clinically. Yeah, cancel Justin. It was the 3-day weekend. I'm gonna blame it on it. I need another bowl. I wouldn't say that that's further left. I would say that he's starting to get desperate. In Florida, I would say the weed initiative might actually drive, and that's what the Democrats are hoping. The constitutional amendment make weed legal in Florida will drive Democratic voting. Because the story I did was that Florida Republicans are upset at Trump for supporting weed. Light one up, tip one back. We got 13 seconds, and then we'll be back to the news. The DEA rescheduling hearing is in December. Welcome back, everyone who was on break on Twitch. We were talking about how Donald Trump has actually endorsed the ballot initiative in Florida to legalize recreational marijuana. I don't know what's going to happen clinically, but the scheduling hearing taking place in December. I'm just the bringer of news. I'm just your friendly neighborhood news gimp. I do not make the news, I just bring it to you. And the DEA scheduling hearing is in December. If the DEA don't reschedule marijuana, then they deserve a titty slap.
Titty slap!
Come on now.
I'm going to hit the content warning for this. Over the weekend, 6 hostages were found dead in Gaza. Massive protests have erupted. There was a general strike inside of Israel to try to get Netanyahu to agree to a ceasefire. So that is catching you up to what is going on right now.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said today that he would not join in ceasefire talks over his demand that Israel remain in control of Gaza's border with Egypt. He spoke after thousands of workers across Israel walked off their jobs following a night of protests over Netanyahu's failure to negotiate a deal for the release of those held in Gaza. All this after the recovery of the bodies of 6 more hostages.
Across Israel overnight, hundreds of thousands took to the streets in the biggest protest since the war began almost 11 months ago. In Tel Aviv, police and protesters clashed. Nationwide, some 24 people were arrested. Today, protesters blocked a main road in the city, demanding that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reach a deal to return the 100 or so Israeli hostages still in Gaza.
I think we have a criminal government who lets the hostages be murdered only for the sake of the coalition And we have a prime minister who doesn't think of the good of the country, but only of his own good.
Yes!
A general strike disrupted flights at Israel's international airport, and some hospitals were only partially operating. In Jerusalem, Israelis lined the streets for the funeral procession of American-Israeli hostage Hersh Goldberg Poland. He was among the 6 hostages recovered by Israeli forces in Gaza over the weekend. Today, Netanyahu said Hamas would pay a heavy price for their deaths. At the funeral, Goldberg Poland's mother, Rachel, mourned her son.
For 23 years, I was privileged to have the most stunning honor to be Hersh's mama. I'll take it and say thank you. I just wish it had been for longer.
At the White House, President Biden added to the pressure on Netanyahu.
Mr. President, do you think it's time for Prime Minister Netanyahu to do more on this issue? Do you think he's doing enough?
No. In Gaza, a polio vaccination campaign continued. Israel and Hamas have agreed to pause fighting in select areas until Tuesday. The goal is to vaccinate more than 600,000 children.
In these conditions we live in, with the diseases spreading among children,
I think Biden was saying no to is Netanyahu doing enough?
100,000 children.
In these conditions we live in, with the diseases spreading among children, vaccination is now very important to protect our children. God willing, in these days of war, peace will prevail for everyone.
Oh, fair enough, DJ Dub.
Thanks, city of Jenin, an Israeli military operation continued. The 5th day of heavy fighting. So far, at least 20 Palestinians have been killed.
There's no Hamas in Jenin. There's no Hamas in the West Bank. Who are they fighting? PBS is leaving out a very key detail there. 20 Palestinians dead. Just random Palestinians? How did they die, PBS?
At the White House today, President Biden said the United States will hold Hamas leaders accountable for American-Israeli Hersh Goldberg Poland's death. He also met with the U.S. team trying to reach an agreement that would free...
Come on, man!
Yohanan Plesner is president of the Israel Democracy Institute. He is a former aide to both Prime Ministers Ariel Sharon and Benjamin Netanyahu. Mr. Plesner,
he's probably IDF too, wasn't he?
Is like in Israel today. You've had a tumultuous 36 hours.
Yeah, it's a very emotional period. The fact that 6 of our hostages have been murdered in cold blood, and just 24 hours before the IDF soldiers have actually reached them, was received as a major blow for, I think, for all Israelis, and the protests that erupted have reflected that. Now we have to understand we have to be able to hold 2 complex thoughts at the same time. On the one hand, we're dealing with a murderous.
No, that was what I understood, was that Israel's actions caused their deaths. And the protests are also against the Netanyahu government. They are not like protests against Hamas. They are calling for the Netanyahu government to reach a deal for a ceasefire. I'm disgusted by PBS's coverage. Is it just this white dude the entire time? It is. Like, what in the fuck? This is very weird to have the Israel Democracy Institute. This guy was Mossad or IDF or something, wasn't he? Hands down. PBS basically brought like a fucking Israeli spy on to do propaganda. This is insane. I feel dirty that we watched that. Here, let's get a much less biased take on this, shall we? Go to Al Jazeera.
Thousands of people remain on the streets of major Israeli cities for a third day on Monday. Demonstrators demanding the government sign a deal. Benjamin Netanyahu has just spoken on Israeli television. He's asking for forgiveness for not bringing the captives home.
I told the families, and I will say it again tonight, I apologize and ask for your forgiveness because we couldn't bring them back alive. We were close, but we failed. Let me say this again tonight. Israel will not remain silent on this massacre. Hamas will pay the price, a very high price.
Well, Akiv Aldar is a political analyst and contributor to the Israeli daily newspaper Haaretz. He joins us now from Tel Aviv. Good to have you with us. So Netanyahu, they're asking for forgiveness. Do you think most Israelis, particularly those on the streets protesting against him, are ready to give him forgiveness?
I hope not.
Well, Sammy, I don't forgive him. I was there yesterday. I was there today protesting, not as a journalist, but as an Israeli patriot. And they don't forgive him, first of all, because he still doesn't take the responsibility for what happened to Israel on October 7th. Number two, he is not showing us any light at the end of the tunnels of Hamas, just more soldiers and more civilians, more captives getting back home in body bags. So there is no forgiveness among those people. There is fatigue, yes. The question is, how long will those people who are taking to the streets every day, and it's quite warm, I think it's not as warm as in Doha, but it's a summer, and people in the north, including children, didn't start the school year, and they don't forgive him. And
damn, look at those protests.
10 or now more than 10 months in reserves. People who lost their jobs and lost their businesses, they don't forgive him.
How much of a challenge then do you think these protests are becoming to Netanyahu? You mentioned the fatigue, but the pictures coming in, the live pictures coming in from Tel Aviv show, you know, people are still
800,000 people.
Look like the numbers are ready to dissipate, at least right now.
Yeah, but it seems we know from recent history, you remember, Sari, when we were talking about the so.
Notice that this is completely different than the picture that BBS painted. The entire tenor and tone of the protests. The journalist was like, "Fuck, I was out there protesting too." It's insane. Yeah, this was a general strike that almost shut down the country.
Called judicial reform, that we had every weekend 500,000 people in the streets. Now, in my neighborhood, we got 20 or 30,000. Now we can hardly get 1,000 people to get out of their home. And the reason is that the Israeli politicians, mainly from the Likud and the Orthodox Party, seem to do everything they can, including robbing the budget and robbing the country's future, the future of our children, to stay in power. And people are losing hope that there will be at least 4 or 5 people from the Likud or from Shas that will not be able to look at the mirror, and they will defect. And Netanyahu, going back to him, wants to say that, because otherwise, if the war will end, and actually he compared the Philadelphia Acts to the acts of evil. So for him, he said he will never leave Gaza. He wants to stay there forever, which means that he will perpetuate the war. He knows that December 1st, he will have to stand in court and be crucified. And for him, this coalition is a lifesaver.
As you're talking, Akiva, I just want to point out, we're looking at live pictures of a protest in West Jerusalem outside the Prime Minister's residence, I'm being told. So
they marched on Bibi's residence.
Quite a number of people coming out onto the streets there. What do you make then? It is a bit of a game of political strategy and chess, given listening to what you were saying going on. Does the Israeli court ruling ordering an end to the strike offer a major sort of sense of relief for Netanyahu, a move that, you know, only 24 hours ago, many people were caught by surprise thinking this could be very serious for the government? Has the picture changed radically now with the court ruling?
Well, the ruling just pissed people off.
You know, Israel is still a democracy, yes, and when we look at the polls,
not a democracy.
Israeli, if not this coalition, the Israeli right and radical right have the upper hand. Even if we go for elections, we will not go back to the negotiating table with the Palestinians. So people are losing hope. More and more Israelis are lining up in foreign embassies to get European or American passports and leave. And these people are the elite. And Netanyahu and his gang believe that democracy is all about elections. And as long as they have 64 mandates in the Knesset, they have the full legitimacy to rule and to send more and more youngsters to the battlefield without telling them what is the aim, what is the exit strategy of this war, what Israel wants to do with Gaza. They are not going anywhere. So, if we had a so-called normal, moral government, those images that you show from the streets will make a difference. But it seems that for Netanyahu, the alternative, which is his personal, political and personal life, is more important than the lives of the Israeli captives. And keep in mind that even if he will have a full control over the Philadelphia axis that he turned to be a sacred interest of Israel, the people like the 6 Israeli captives that were killed in the tunnels, they are still there. And when the Hamas militants will hear the Israeli soldiers, we will not hear from those captives that they are holding in the tunnels.
Okay, so if you were saying there the streets might not make that much a difference, what about the splits within the government, particularly between the security establishment and the Prime Minister? It's not new, of course. There have been reports of tensions, but the latest statements by Yoav Gallant, the Minister of Defense, talking about Netanyahu's position and insistence on keeping Israeli troops in the Philadelphia corridor. I mean, those comments they look like they're designed particularly to be targeted against the Prime Minister he's supposed to be serving under. How serious is that?
Actually, Netanyahu has managed to corner Gallant and to exclude him from the Likud. And we all know that he's got no political future. And Netanyahu got a majority in the cabinet, and he proved that, Gallant and what he believes.
Prove to me he has no political future.
The head of the Mossad, it's not only Gallant.
I keep hearing that. I didn't think he had a political future back in, what was it, 2022? When he lost the presidency? I never thought in a million years he was going to come back. It might have been 2021. I keep hearing that he has no future, but he keeps sticking around.
The entire security administration, the chief of staff, the head of the Mossad and Shin Bet, who support Gallant, and they keep telling journalists off the record, but in the cabinet's meeting, they speak out and they say you have to make a decision. If you want to execute, at least we have 30 and 40 other captives alive, say it loud. Don't tell us that we will bring them back home just with more pressure on the Hamas. No, the Hamas knows that these people are their only bargaining chip. And
hey, Gregor, I'm not sure about you, but good evening, my friend.
Hope
you're well.
Otherwise, Netanyahu will even be able to send back settlers to Gaza if Ben-Gvir and Smotrich will keep pushing him and putting him to the corner.
All right, thank you so much for your thoughts and analysis on that. Akiva Aldar, political analyst.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news.
Chub Lester. It's kind of the white Semite. Well, it's like one particular group of the white Semites, like oppressing the darker skinned Semites. That's the dynamic. Globus, good evening. How are you, my friend? Speaking of race wars. God damn it! Let's go to Germany, where a far-right party has won power for the first time since World War II.
Party has won elections in Germany for the first time since the end of World War II. The Alternative for Germany won the most votes in the state of Thuringia under one of its hardest right figures, Björn Höcke. In neighboring Saxony, it finished only just behind the mainstream center-right Christian Democrats. The party's success has caused concern among Germany's mainstream political parties and many Germans who didn't vote for it. Its rise has been catalyzed by high inflation and immigration. The far-right Alternative for Germany has made anti-foreigner sentiment a cornerstone of its campaign, and it was especially successful among young voters. But winning the elections doesn't mean it will lead the next regional governments. No other party wants to be seen working with them, so coalition talks will take weeks, maybe even months.
Yeah, things are looking wild abroad. A plane crashed, part of the Ukrainian Air Force fleet. A Ukrainian-operated F-16 fighter jet crashed. This has caused President Zelensky to dismiss his Air Force commander.
The Friday night firing of the head of Ukraine's Air Force, Mykola Oleshchuk, comes the day after news broke of an F-16 pilot crashing. Moments after posting the dismissal, President Zelensky, in his evening address, said his country's military needs
Jordan Klepper
at the command level.
Wasn't he being funny?
Swirling here tonight about what caused the loss of one of the precious few F-16s this country has, and one of the precious few pilots who can fly them. One of the first F-16 pilots to take to the skies over Ukraine died when his jet went down.
Okay, I'm going to take issue with the fact that you said that he could fly them. You said he could fly the jet, but he did. He died in a plane crash. Now, I'm no expert, but it doesn't sound like he could fly the jet.
Precious few F-16s this country has, and one of the precious few pilots who can fly them. One of the first F-16 pilots to take to the skies over Ukraine died when his jet went down Monday. Ukraine's Air Force identifying him as Colonel Alexei Mace, call sign Moonfish. A source confirming to Scripps News that he was the pilot shown in this video released in February while in an abbreviated training program in Denmark.
Duration of the training that we are going through is really short.
The typical training for F-16 pilots, 3 years. Moonfish fiercely advocated for the U.S. to allow Ukraine to receive F-16s, making a lobbying trip in 2022 to the U.S. Capitol along with his comrade Juice. Juice crashed and died in a training exercise almost exactly a year ago. The first F-16 crash is a major blow to Ukraine. The fighter jet, a potent symbol of hope. The arrival of the first handful of them announced with fanfare earlier this month. Their first combat mission on Monday, a mix of triumph, shooting down several Russian missiles, and tragedy.
They just got the motherfuckers a month ago. This dude who's barely had any training crashed one. Nobody's coming out and saying it.
The Air Force said today that U.S. experts are on the ground here helping in the investigation. Ukraine's Minister of Defense, he's in Washington to meet with U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to make the case that Ukraine has targets in Russia it's ready to hit with American and British missiles that they've been provided but been barred from using on the deep strikes inside Russia that Zelensky argues are needed to change the course of this war. Jason Bellini, Scripps News, Kyiv, Ukraine.
I don't know. Let's go to, I guess we're coming back here to the United States, but still an international story. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has had his fucking plane seized by the U.S.
The United States has seized a plane belonging to Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro over alleged sanctions violations. In a statement Monday, Attorney General Merrick Garland said, quote, "The Justice Department seized an aircraft we allege was illegally purchased for $13 million through a shell company and smuggled out of the U.S. for use by Nicolas Maduro and his cronies." The jet in question has been transported from the Dominican Republic to Florida. CBS News correspondent Christian Benavides joins us from Fort Lauderdale with more on this story. Christian, good to see you. So we understand that multiple federal agencies were involved in this. Explain how this happened.
Chanel, not just multiple federal agencies, you've got agencies also internationally involved here to be able to get that plane here to Fort Lauderdale. So according to officials that I spoke to, what's very interesting about this is that this plane is essentially considered, by all intents and purposes, Venezuela's Air Force One. This is how Nicolas Maduro got around in his state visits since May of 2023. The aircraft was purchased in late 2022, early 2023, according to U.S. officials. Then beginning May of last year is when Maduro started using it regularly for his state visits. Officials worked with the Dominican Republic to be able to get the jet from the DR to here. Let's take a listen to what the special agent in charge had to say about how this investigation unfolded.
We have a long-standing history of investigating the corrupt practices of the Maduro regime. HSI and its partners have already disrupted over $2 billion worth of assets. We've indicted over 30 regime members, associates, and facilitators.
Peyton Manning over
so again,
here.
we're always continuing to look at the opportunities in which the Maduro regime is continuing to facilitate its corrupt practices.
Sorry, Agent Salisbury State.
Multiple assets over the years that have been, as the special agent in charge mentioned, that have been seized by the U.S. government from folks that belong to the Maduro regime. Chanel?
And I just wonder, to zoom out for a second here, Christian, where do relations with Venezuela stand right now?
Clearly not good.
Well, look, you'll recall that back in June, there was the elections that took place. And to that end, so far, not just the U.S., but multiple governments across the world have not sided with the Venezuelan government, who said that Maduro won the elections. In fact, the U.S. recognizes Edmundo Gonzalez, the opposition leader, as the winner of those elections. At this point, the Venezuelan government just released a statement a few moments ago, essentially saying that what the U.S. has done in this case is criminal, and that they'll figure out a way to respond accordingly, that they said that there may be potential monetary damages involved here. So this certainly doesn't help relations. But at the end of the day, there wasn't really much to build on, because remember, after those elections took place, it's not just the U.S., but you had multiple governments across Latin America, across the world, that rejected what the Venezuelan government called the results of that election, saying that Maduro had won when there had been many questions about whether or not his government had tampered with the results of that election.
So what happens next in the investigation then, Christian?
Well, look, officials from the Department of Homeland Security said that this essentially becomes an asset forfeiture case. So the plane will be liquidated, and those funds will go into the
You're gonna build down that plane.
The federal asset forfeiture funds that the U.S. uses.
Cut to Maduro walking down the jetway. He's looking side to side, wondering where it is. Where's my plane? There's a pursuit. I have to put it down here. You know me, my cop pursuits. We've still got shit to do. Let's talk about how Mpox patients in Africa are not getting the care that they need, and it's probably going to come back to bite the entire rest of the world in the ass.
Lying on thin mattresses on damp earth, this is an overcrowded makeshift Mpox isolation ward in East Democratic Republic of Congo. The country is the epicenter of the global public health emergency declared by the World Health Organization last month. Overstretched hospital workers grapple with drug shortages and lack of space to accommodate the influx of patients. In Kavumu, 900 symptomatic patients, like Sifa Mwakasisi, have been taken in over the past 3 months.
They should give us medicine and put us in good conditions, instead of just locking us in this cage as if we're not human. Telling us no one should come near.
God.
The head of the Congo's Mpox response team acknowledged that parts of the vast country lacked medicine. He added that dispatching donations, including 115 tons of medicine from the World Bank, was a priority. Relatives, who usually provide the bulk of meals in underfunded public facilities, were banned from visiting the Mpox ward to avoid contamination. Basic treatment is also a challenge. Here's Kavumu Hospital's medical director, Musole Mulamba Muva.
We have many challenges. The first challenge concerns the supply of medicine, because we run out of medicine every day, because the stocks given to us by partners often run out without being able to renew. We have to wait for more medicine to arrive, and so we always experience shortages, medicine shortages. And that's a big challenge we have in managing this disease.
Mpox causes flu-like symptoms and pus-filled lesions, and, while usually mild, it can kill. Children, pregnant women and people with weakened immune systems are at a higher risk of complications. Vaccines are set to arrive within days to fight the new strain of the virus, while Congo's president has allowed a first $10 million disbursement to fight the outbreak. Over 19,000 suspected cases of Mpox have been reported since the start of the year in Congo, according to the health ministry. Of those, 5,000 were confirmed and 655 were fatal.
I have a feeling because of the stigma placed on it, because the last time we had an outbreak, it was told it was confined to gay men. This time it's going to be far more contagious, easier to catch. People are not going to believe they have it because they ain't been having gay sex. Could be in for a wild fall. Especially if the Republicans are able to materialize any of their plans, try to interfere in the election, because apparently they have every right to interfere. Donald Trump had every right to interfere in the 2020 election.
And I had to make a decision. Do I want to do this? Do I want to put the wife of the President of the United States and Secretary of State, by the way, do I want to put her in prison? And I'm trying to unify a country that really was broken badly. If you look at, what was going on with Obama when I took this over, this country was had tremendous hatred, anxiety, a lot of hatred. And do I want to put the wife of a president of the United States in prison? I didn't want to do that. And then when I get out, it's like, it's amazing, actually. It's amazing. And it's such a bad precedent because people are going to think about it differently. They're going to think about it differently, and it's very sad, actually. But you know the good news? It's so crazy that my poll numbers go up. Whoever heard you get indicted for interfering with a presidential election where you have every right to do it? You get indicted and your poll numbers go up. When people get indicted, your poll numbers go down. But it's such nonsense. They got to the DA, they put people in the DA's office, they put people in the Attorney General of New York's office.
Who's they?
Bonnie Willis in Atlanta met with them and her boyfriend, met with them for days. This was all coming out of the Department of Justice in order to get their political opponents.
Oh.
Think of it. Bonnie Willis came up with this crazy scheme. And a lot of people were hurt by it too. Very good people, patriots, because there was many people were indicted. But they did this to try and get me. And then they say to people, listen, we'll let you off.
He had every right to interfere. Same. I'm sorry to have to do this to you. I don't think any of you are high enough for what I'm getting ready to show you. This is the Republican National Committee co-chair, Laura Trump, singing a song called Hero. I should probably hit the content warning, shouldn't I?
You give your life just to save another life. No, this can't be your job. You gotta have it in you.
This is Eric's wife.
You're risking yours for someone you don't even know. This can't be a test.
That's not.
Must be a gift. You're going through the fire and the flames getting higher. You're my hero. You're my hero.
Wait, is that the dude that got shot at the...
Climbing up the ladder and the screams getting louder. You're my hero.
Trump played the piano?
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck. No, this can't be denied. You gotta be special. It takes a lot to put you last and everybody first. This can't
Kill John Lennon. Kill John Lennon.
Your heart they can make gold. Even if
wow.
yours is compromised, we're both trapped under these rubble skies. It's your will, don't ever let go of a life. You're going through the fire and the flames getting higher. You're my hero. You're my hero. You're climbing up.
She's not actually playing the piano, is she?
Flames getting louder. You're my hero. You're my hero. You're
Justin,
my hero. My hero.
Yeah, this is like how Willow hired St. Vincent, right?
My hero.
Had to hire somebody with some talent.
Through the fire, the flames getting higher. You're my hero. You're my hero. You're climbing up the ladder, and the screams get louder.
She went high there.
You're my hero.
Oh, Forgiato Blow is probably going to do some remix of this. She's only good compared to Melora. It's a proximity thing. Oh, god damn.
You're going through the fire.
Ooh, that was amazing. A coach and apparently radio host, podcast host, high school coach who mocked Tim Walz' son, quit Illinois job after wave of backlash. High school volleyball coach has quit her job after making disparaging comments on a radio show about the son of vice presidential hopeful Tim Walz. Amy Jacobson, who coached at Munsden High School in Chicago, faced a wave of backlash following her remarks made on the WIND-AM radio show on August 22nd. The comments were in response to an emotional reaction from the 17-year-old Gus Walz as he watched his father accept the vice presidential nomination at the Democratic National Convention. Now, you know me. I have the fucking clip.
All right, so let's see. We got Pelosi and we got Nessel. We got
this is Amy Jacobson.
I mean, there was that other moment with Field Marshal Walz with the IVF riff, you know, that we've talked about.
Yeah.
What's the deal with his kid?
Oh,
Can somebody get Gus Walz some Ritalin?
well, he's excited. That's my dad. That's my dad. And he was crying too. That's my dad, not your dad. That's my dad.
I mean, you know what it reminded me of?
What?
The capital of the civilized world.
I love
it
you.
Should be, and it will be so.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! I love my mayor.
We have it within our power to.
The shitty drop.
Andrew Giuliani on Saturday Night Live, where Giuliani was inaugurated, and Andrew.
Oh, that's right. The kid
stole
was
the show
because
because he was all over.
He's precocious. Like
If you had to explain it, it's not very good.
All over Kevin Nealon playing Giuliani. Yeah,
that's my
dad. That's exactly what that was.
A Saturday Night Live skit from fucking 93.
Kid, I mean, he's not 11. He's 17 years old. He's out of his seat. He's bawling with the. Dad, I love you, Dad. And then she goes, Papa Bear's coming home, Gus. What the hell was that? Come on. That is. I mean, I don't like go after family members unless they invite themselves into the arena like Hunter Biden did. Yes. But I mean, it's just weird. It's weird. Use Tim Walz's word against him. It's just what the hell?
For me, the weirdest part or bizarre.
I don't go after family right after I go after family. Yeah, she was pretty shitty, but like he's the one that was really offensive. He lost his job. Is there any more?
That's when he had football players. He had football players. He used to coach. Got up on stage.
Wow. Yeah, he's the one that was really the shitty one in that situation. All right, we're gonna do crime stories. We're gonna give you an update on the missing nudist couple. There was a plane crash in Oregon. Insane footage. We've got a hit and run escape job in New York City that resulted in a suspect getting pinned under a vehicle. Dallas police have released body camera of a fatal shooting. The Pentagon, a Pentagon mall robbery prompted a lockdown. A whole lot more, including a Florida mayor got arrested. We got the body cam of that happening. We're going to go ahead and get the commercial break out of the way. 3 minutes, and we'll be right back with you. All that and a lot freaking more on the other side of the break here on the Troll Patrol live. What's up? I'm still with you. What's up, peeps? Love my Labor Day graphics, my May Day graphics, my worker graphics. Enjoy the songs on the opening. Troll marks, yeah. You don't have Labor Day, Warlord. You celebrate May Day like the rest of the sane goddamn world. But as I mentioned, we celebrate May Day as well. But we also have the Labor Day, so we have multiple days. Hey, we can gay Labor Day up. Do you guys want to gay Labor Day up? This is my opening and graphics for May Day as well. This is not a Labor Day exclusive event. This is any labor movement. Grab the lube.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
That did happen. It got a chuckle out of me.
If I snap my fingers, you'll forget that you were ever gay.
I was never gay.
Exactly.
Wait, no, stop.
Yes.
No, stop. You can't. I was never gay.
Okay.
No, I was never gay.
Sure.
You can't just state something and snap your fingers and then be like, I was never gay.
If you say so. If I snap my fingers, you'll forget that you were ever gay.
I was never gay.
Exactly.
Wait, no, stop.
Yes.
No, stop. You can't. I was never gay.
Okay.
No, I was never gay.
That's a little gay.
You can't just state something and snap your fingers and then be like, I was never gay.
If you say so.
Say so. A little gay. Only on the weekends.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Welcome everybody back from commercial break. You are not subbed. Came back into Senator Kennedy talking about how much he really likes cock and wants your cock specifically in his mouth. I'm gonna have to give you this update on this nudist couple. I'd really like them to be alive, but apparently they aren't. And I am sorry for that. Yes, the nudist couple. There was a whole standoff that happened on Thursday.
Community in mourning tonight as police continue to sift through the rubble of a partially demolished home on a nudist ranch in Redlands.
They demolished it.
Detectives are searching for an elderly couple who lived next door to the demolished home. They haven't been seen for a week and now are presumed dead.
Kate Taylor
Dougie
Nelson joining us live from Redlands, where she's.
Oh, so we don't have confirmation. I thought we had confirmation that they had been found. So there's still just a missing couple, a missing nudist couple.
Detectives are searching for an elderly couple who lived next door to the demolished home. They haven't been seen for a week and now are presumed dead.
Kate Taylor 5 Shelby Nelson joining us live from Redlands, where she spoke with neighbors who noticed that couple missing from church on Sunday. Shelby.
That's right, Rick. And it seems like it's been a really tedious process for police to be able to obtain this evidence, partly because of how unstable that home is that they rammed last week when the suspect had barricaded himself underneath the home. Well, today was day 4 of them honing in on that home. They say today they also recovered even more human remains.
Maybe we'll never get to know what really happened.
Exactly 1 week ago, Irene Encraft attempted to go to church with her friends Stephanie and Dan Menard, something they always did. But to her surprise, they never showed up. And moving forward, they will never attend services again. So this time, church in their absence was a little different.
I put a white ribbon around their 2 chairs and I had long stem roses on Dan in her chair.
Irene likes to think that they are in a better place now that the elderly couple is presumed dead and their alleged killer, who is also their next door neighbor, is in custody. Detectives with Redlands Police continued an extensive search of 62-year-old Michael Sparks' property at the Olive Dell Ranch Nudist Resort. And into day 4 of being there, they recovered even more human remains. It was just last week when a witness tipped police off as they were searching the RV park. They attempted to locate Sparks at his home, but he barricaded himself inside with a rifle, prompting authorities to use a robot, and then
battering ram right into position.
A battering ram to tear through his home.
They go in and they're basically demolishing that front end of the house.
He was found inside a cement
Yeah, we watched that.
Underneath the home, the same place where a cadaver dog alerted police of the bags of human remains stuffed inside. One of the most obvious questions, why? What was his motive? They had been neighbors for years, and others who live there tell KTLA there was an ongoing feud and that Sparks never liked the Menards. Stephanie and Dan were last seen on August 24th, their vehicle abandoned about a half-mile down from the RV park, and still no signs of their dog Cuddles. While Redlands police haven't commented on how the alleged killing happened, many are forming their own theories and with the same questions.
If he drove that car down there, how did he come from there all the way around and up that?
They said bags of remains.
Never knowing who drove the car.
Don't say Cuddles is dead.
Now, identifying
Cuddles got away.
remains and determining a cause of death is now in the hands of the San Bernardino County coroner. As for Sparks, he is being held at the West Valley Detention Center without bail, and he is scheduled to be arraigned on Tuesday in San Bernardino. Reporting live in Redlands.
What in the fuck?
KTLA 5 News.
Shelby, thank you.
What in the fuck? Cuddles is out for revenge. Go to Oregon, where we have some insane footage from the aftermath of a plane crash. You guys are not gonna believe it crashed in a residential neighborhood.
This was the terrifying aftermath.
We think that an airplane crashed into the house.
A row of townhomes just outside Portland, Oregon goes up in flames. Look as the plane crash is caught on camera. A huge fireball rises above the neighborhood.
I did see the pilot started veering to the left like very hard.
That plane must be buried in between these 3 condos. There's no sign of it out here.
John Sampson was there when the Cessna went down, killing the pilot and passenger.
There was a huge explosion that pretty much rocked the whole area.
The fire jumping from home to home as firefighters worked frantically to douse the flames. One resident was killed, authorities say. The shocking moment heard on radio traffic with the Troutdale Airport Control Tower, just 2 miles from the crash site.
Crash, crash, crash. Big black smoke in a residential area.
Troutdale Tower confirming a report in a plane crash.
That's affirmative, and it was a twin aircraft.
Investigators said that there was no Mayday call. What do you make of that?
There was no Mayday call, perhaps because the pilot didn't feel it was an emergency situation. The pilot did admit to air traffic that he was having handling problems, and this was a test flight.
The NTSB is moving the plane to a secure facility as they piece together what went wrong. 5 families are now displaced from a crash no one saw coming. Dana Griffin, NBC News.
Thanks for watching.
Shut up, Lester. The first time we got him tonight. So it was a Cessna, so it was a small plane. So there wasn't, what, a couple people on it? Go to New York City. I don't even know if I've been doing this story justice. A Brooklyn driver was pinned after flipping a van in a hit-and-run escape. Pat Battle is going to tell us all about it.
A fast getaway attempt that ended with that driver pinned under his own minivan. News 4's Melissa Colorado explains what led up to that chaotic scene.
Melissa.
A delivery driver says he saw
Pat Battle, Melissa Colorado. What in the fuck kind of names are these fucking... What? Pat Battle. Melissa Colorado is going to bring you the news report.
It ended with that driver pinned under his own minivan. News 4's Melissa Colorado explains what led up to that chaotic scene.
a delivery driver says he saw the whole thing, and he said his jaw dropped when he saw that driver take off. So what did that delivery driver do? He hopped on his e-bike and he chased after that hit and run.
She's good.
Surveillance video shows what
happened.
This is a stunning moment when police say a 61-year-old man lost control of his minivan and crashed into two parked cars in Brownsville Saturday afternoon, causing the minivan to flip over on its side. Boom! But the story really begins moments earlier. The delivery driver you see pulling up to the scene is this man, Danny Square. He says he was on Rockaway Parkway and Winthrop Street when he saw the minivan driver crash into three people.
He ended up hitting a scooter guy with delivery guy. He run over on top of him. He ended up hitting even the young lady with his kid inside the stroller.
Police confirm a 26-year-old mom and her 3-year-old daughter in a stroller were injured and rushed to a nearby hospital. It's unclear if a third person reported their injuries to police.
I don't know where he was going. He hit someone. He was trying to flee, so I have to chase him.
Danny says the driver pressed on the gas and sped away for several blocks.
He's out of control completely. He's not his right mind.
Until that hit-and-run driver got to Howard and Blake Avenue.
Next thing you know, the car flip over.
Cell phone video shows the aftermath. We blurred the 61-year-old driver who is conscious but pinned down by the car.
Let's go, let's go.
Neighbors seen here working together to push the car from its side. As neighbors wait for police and an ambulance to arrive, Danny says something inside the minivan caught his eye.
He was drunk because we find in his car alone and three bottle open. Hennessy bottle was open.
Police are still investigating whether or not that 61-year-old driver, who is now in custody, was under the influence. In Brownsville, Melissa Colorado, News 4 New York.
Well, it seems like it. Go to Dallas, where police have released portions of a dash cam video showing the shooting of a man who killed a cop. So based on his part, content warning on it.
Well, tonight we're getting our first look at what happened after a Dallas police officer was shot and killed. The suspect took off after killing Officer Darren Burks and wounding 2 others. And the department just released 40 seconds of edited video showing
they did.
That police chase came to an end. You'll see the suspect get out of the car with a gun and officers open fire. Corey Cobb Bay stopped on I-35 in Louisville, and while officers speak with him outside the car, you can hear radio chatter alerting them that he's armed. Cobb Bay starts walking towards the officers with the weapon still in hand, and that's when they open fire and put him down.
Yeah, that's all they released. Got more of it? Show us
Dallas
more.
police released dashcam video of officers taking down the shooter who killed 1 DPD officer and wounded 2 others. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
I'm Steve Eager. This was the speed chase from Dallas to Louisville on I-35 Thursday night. Police say Corey Cobb Bay stopped his car, got out with a shotgun, and was killed after refusing to drop it. Cobb Bay died on the interstate roughly 30 minutes after.
That's some kind of fucking Tommy gun shit? What the hell?
Darren Burks and wounded 2 others. Sean Rabb in studio tonight with the update. Sean.
Yeah, and before we get there, viewers need to know what you are about to show. What we're about to show you may be for some very graphic and offensive, even disturbing.
Yeah.
Garcia, though, told
that's what we're here for.
That the surveillance video that captured what the chief called the targeted execution of Officer Darren Burks and the attack on other officers would not be released. But
hey, fuck you.
Video that shows the final encounter with the shooter.
Use caution.
Corey Cobb Bay, who shot 3 Dallas police officers, killing Officer Darren Burks and leading police on a chase on I-35.
Corey Cobb Bay
stops his car on the freeway. Despite the racing emotions, the officer on the radio is calm in a pressure-packed critical incident.
Got door coming open. Use caution. He's looking back, still in the car, coming out with a weapon. Coming out with, nope, hands are up.
Cobb Bay gets out with hands up, then goes back to the car and gets a weapon. Officers yell for him to drop the gun.
Why would you do that?
He's got a weapon in hand.
What the fuck, Cobb Bay?
The camera zooms in and freezes so you can see the weapon. Cobb Bay keeps walking towards officers.
I don't see no weapon.
Yelling commands.
I don't see him point. No shit.
Fire. Cobb Bay falls.
Vehicle, weapon in hand. Roll EMS. Roll EMS.
Corey Cobb Bay died on Interstate 35. His violence already done. 2 officers injured, and rookie officer Darren Burks lost his life. In the 900 block of East Ledbetter last Thursday night, Dallas
they wanted to kill him anyway.
Called it an execution.
Cobb Bay approached Officer
Cobb Bay
and talked with him briefly through the driver's side window.
What's RuPaul doing back there?
With a cell phone. The suspect then pulled out a handgun and executed Officer.
He does look like Marky Mark.
Cobb Bay, the chief said, returned to his white sedan, getting this shotgun with a drum magazine, placing it on top of
the shotgun
car, waiting for responding officers. And when they showed up, he opened fire.
We came close to losing other officers who put their lives on the line to protect their brother. And it is by the grace of God they're still with us today. Our officers were targeted for nothing more than the uniform they wear and for the brave and honorable job that they do.
Sunday,
this dude's got a huge, he's got a cone head.
Escorted to Restland Funeral Home, where he will be prepared for the celebration of his life. Outside South Central Patrol, a squad car turned shrine salutes the service and sacrifice of 46-year-old officer Darren Burks.
Okay, he had a big head too.
Teacher turned to policing as a second career. Niall Smith brought his daughter to pay their respects.
Why?
Military, Air Force, and served the country. And
based Cobb Bay.
Stand patriotism and community.
Cobb based.
And just what the law enforcement does for the community and how it affects us all.
Funeral services for Officer Darren Burks will take place at Watermark Church in Dallas. There will be public visitation.
Cobb Bay was kicking authority in the balls.
He's kicking authority in the balls. 9 to 11 a.m. And then, of course, the funeral itself will take place at the Watermark Church.
All right, Sean Rabbins.
Watermark Church. What the fuck is the Watermark Church? I love that, like, I gave authority balls. Literally, there are balls hanging from authority. I'll never get invited back on panels ever again because I show women twerking and titty slaps. Don't forget to wash your ass.
Life is too short to walk this earth for a crusty asshole. Wash your ass.
A robbery at Pentagon City Mall prompted a lockdown in Washington, D.C. today.
We begin tonight with that search.
I think we got video.
To be behind a brazen smash and grab robbery that led to a lockdown at a popular Northern Virginia mall. We appreciate you staying up with us for News 4 at 11. I'm Drew Wilder. Arlington County Police responded to Fashion Center at Pentagon City Mall for a report of shots fired. That was at about 3:30 this afternoon, but investigators say there wasn't any shooting. But police then turned their search for 3 suspected thieves who broke into a high-end watch store with hammers. News 4's Mauricio Casillas has video that shows the aftermath. He also spoke with shoppers who witnessed all of this chaos.
You see how quick they took that Rolex, right?
This cell phone video recorded by a shopper inside the Pentagon City Mall appears to show the suspected thieves sprinting away after robbing the Torno watch store. You can see them trying to pick up some of the watches as some of the leftover spray from the fire extinguisher lingers in the air.
Paradigm shift.
Thought it was gunshots.
Boom, 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 boom. So everybody ran in the store.
Arlington County.
Clinically, do your thing. Shout out Paradigm Shift for me.
But the preliminary investigation reveals that wasn't the case. Instead, police say the thieves smashed some of the display cases inside the store with hammers.
Your presence is a gift, friend.
A mad scramble ensued with people not knowing what was happening as they ran for cover.
My heart stopped. Like it was beating so fast the whole time. And I was in the dressing room changing, and I just hear running. Everyone's just running at me, like towards me. To hide.
What did stir out your remote?
And I was shaking.
Police say no one was hurt, but the chaotic smash and grab led to panic inside the mall. Stores inside quickly closed their doors as people sheltered in place.
I heard the gate closed and everyone was just freaking out. People were crying.
The lockdown lasted for about an hour before customers were able to finally leave.
It's Labor Day and this is ridiculous.
Ashley Pager says she works in the store right next to where the robbery happened. She says she's never seen anything like it.
I hope these people get caught and are held accountable.
And while those I spoke with say they're thankful no one was hurt,
I'm rooting them on.
Concerned to hear
hope they get away.
Suspects are teens.
This is the time that we're living in. This is the time we're living in.
They just silly teens.
Police are still on the lookout for those 3 teen suspects who were last seen running away from the mall in black clothing. The mall was shut down on Sunday for the rest of the evening. Reporting in Arlington, Mauricio Casillas, News 4.
Pussy shut the mall down for the whole evening just because of one little watch theft. Yeah, that kind of thing wouldn't happen in L.A. They'd be back open an hour later. Speaking of L.A., let's go to L.A. where a traffic collision occurred with 3 cars trying to start a street takeover, and they ended up slamming into a Metro bus.
Breaking news, police investigating a traffic collision involving 3 vehicles and a Metro bus in South LA's Vermont Vista neighborhood.
Oh, Nathan, I'm sorry to hear that.
11:30 on South Figueroa Avenue near West Century Boulevard. Witnesses say the drivers of the 3 vehicles were attempting to start a street takeover at the intersection. Those drivers ran from the scene. One person was taken to the hospital in unknown condition.
Slammed into a bus.
Dallas police.
This one's awesome. Okay, we're going to go down to Florida. We have the arrest of a Florida mayor for DUI. We have the body cam footage. So someone in the police department really doesn't like her.
911, what is your emergency?
Yeah, I think the mayor is drunk, and she just literally up, and she just drove over our mailbox.
The mayor did?
The mayor.
Sounds like a prank phone call.
I don't know. She's claiming to be the mayor. I don't know who she is.
A couple called Naples PD around 10 o'clock Wednesday night, saying a woman followed them to their home near 16th Avenue South and 3rd Street South. You can even hear her voice in the background of the call.
All right, did she ever tell you her name or anything like that?
What is your name, ma'am?
Mayor Teresa Heitman. But when police arrived minutes later, she didn't seem to want the title.
I said, Mayor, will you come on over
No,
here?
don't call me mayor.
Okay.
I am Teresa Heitman right now.
Okay.
I'm not the mayor.
Heitman told police the couple cut her off in traffic. She also told them she only had 1 glass of wine, but failed her field sobriety test. NPD says her blood alcohol level was more than twice the legal driving limit.
Unfortunately, right now, you are going to be placed under arrest for driving under the influence of alcohol, okay?
We reached out to the city of Naples. The city manager sent us a statement saying, in part, city employees were saddened to learn about the incident. We know this is a difficult time for Mayor Heitman and will give her the space she needs. The Naples community should rest assured our city is committed and dedicated to serving our residents.
The program she needs. Don't call her mayor. Kind of look cute in her mugshot, though. I'll give her that. Some sort of geyser happened in Encino. Caused like a lot of flooding.
An Encino neighborhood experiencing some flooding this morning. You can see water gushing into the air overnight on Havenhurst Avenue near Oldham Street. The Department of Water and Power still trying to find out where the water is coming from.
Don't even know.
Is diverting traffic from the area.
It was short but sweet. It was a huge fucking geyser. There's apparently a pursuit happened a couple hours ago, maybe an hour ago. This is the end of it.
Okay, I'll keep the feed going and sounds good.
So they pulled into a driveway. Oh.
You can turn right more, Mike. It's out there.
Oh, he doesn't sound excited. Whoa, this is okay. Now we're on to something.
Hey Joe, I'm gonna re-rack this, sorry.
I thought we were catching the end of this. What? What just happened?
Oh, she's backing up. This is not good. She's backing up. She's going to go across the lawn, and she's taking off across the lawn, down the sidewalk. Oh, no. Back towards West Street.
Okay, I'm confused. What happened?
Keep it flat. Keep it flat. We're into out. Keep it flat.
I didn't just imagine that, did I? You guys saw it too.
Okay, fly it.
They got the window down.
Jumping out, taking off, running. She's gonna try to run for it.
It's another woman. We've seen so many women.
Oh no, she's got nowhere to go.
Oh God! Oh shit!
They're gonna bring her down. Oh man, I got exhaust, Mike. I got exhaust.
Who are they pulling guns on?
Yes, it was.
Why'd she get out of the car?
There's the exhaust.
Hell of a way to spend a Labor Day.
The pedal turns. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's out our 6 o'clock.
There's fucking 20 of them. The woman is down.
There.
She is in cuffs. What are all these cops for? If you're only listening to this, I'm not even exaggerating when I'm saying 20. I may be undershooting it.
We do. In fact, Sandra and Sam, you can see here by our picture, we're going to try to get rid of that exhaust that's in our
16.
shot. But the suspect there on the ground had to be tackled by LAPD. This all started with a police chase of a...
All the rest of the crimes have been solved.
Streets. It came to West and 60th Street. The driver...
Murph inserter.
Someone's driveway. I'm not sure if it was her home or someone...
Welcome in, my friend. Good evening. Where are you inserting Smurfs?
Backed up towards the officers in the car and drove down the sidewalk to West.
We're pigs in a sausage factory.
Stopped.
Look how many fucking cars there are.
The officers got on scene pretty quick and brought her down to the ground, got her in custody. But
damn.
Now that female driver, it looks like nobody else was in the vehicle, in custody here on West Street, just north of 60th. That's the latest overhead up in Sky 5. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
They arrested the last criminal. Oh, God. They apparently sent a robot into a house. This happened earlier today.
Boston Dynamics.
Been a busy Labor Day. We're seeing one of these motherfuckers in action.
There he is. He's live.
Dystopian.
Hey, check this out. Check it out. Check it out. He's going to open the door. This is amazing.
I saw a guide at one point in time how you can take the battery out from under it. They may have fixed that now. Anonymously, good evening. What's he gonna do? Stupid ass cops don't even know how to operate it. Digital warrant with a QR code. Of course they would, Minty. You assault this thing, they're going to charge you with assault on an officer. Kick it to get it off of you? Absolutely.
Can't get it. Locked.
It's been defeated by a lock. Amazing. Resistance is futile. It is very nimble. I could imagine a million other uses for this thing other than what they're using it for. It doesn't seem like they're very good at operating it, to be perfectly honest. Pizza delivery, indeed. Uh-oh. Oh, shit. You've gained entry. Retrain it to jerk guys off at a gas station. That would be more useful. That's the end of it? That's all we get?
But first, breaking news here at 4, LAPD's robot dog in action after a shooting and a SWAT standoff. Police rolled out the dog along with SWAT in North Hollywood this afternoon.
Assignment editor Mike Ross.
Because it's black.
And Mike, this started as officers were trying to serve a search warrant?
Yeah, that's right, Amy and Juan. This is a specialized group of officers, too. It's from their Gang and Narcotics Division, trying to serve a search warrant at that home when they encountered, they say, a man with a gun. We did see that gun from SkyCal. And then shots were fired by police. Now, nobody was struck, but then because of that and because of the nature of the suspect being armed, SWAT sent in Spot. This is their robot here. We've talked about him before.
Spot.
One of the few times we've actually seen him in action, though. Spot comes around and tries to get in this back door here, and it appears that the door may be locked because you see Spot kind of pull on it. He does it for a little bit, and they relocate him to the other side of the house where he walks up again, kind of evaluates the door here, and then eventually, after sitting there for a few more moments, he's able to reach up and actually open the door.
Spot.
So that officers don't have to go in there and do this themselves. And it's actually really kind of remarkable video to watch. But you see, he's able to hold the door handle, turn it, and walk right through into the building there to search for that suspect. So this is a tool that I mentioned is fairly new to the LAPD. It didn't come without controversy.
Did do what?
The department, a lot of people didn't like it, didn't want it used. So there was that portion of it. But this is a situation where we're seeing it being used. There's an actual canine that also showed up with the SWAT team to try to find that suspect.
Bad dog.
Ultimately, though, they were stayed there in North Hollywood where that suspect was eventually taken into custody. And as I mentioned to you guys, there was nobody injured in all of this during that shooting. But of course, now there'll be a critical incident video because SWAT was involved, because there was a shooting and all of those things. So we'll be looking for that in the future. I also want to point out
busy day.
LAPD got a lot of pushback for using that dog, or getting that dog donated to them rather, and promised to be transparent about how it's being used. I've asked the department for that data, for those numbers, to see exactly how many times it has been used. And as soon as we get that, we'll be sure to let you know.
Technology is something else.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, thank you.
Zero, my friend. What's up? Welcome in. Welcome in. Apparently, there is an issue with migrant gangs in Colorado. I even had a right winger bring this up the other day. Like, oh, we've had an influx of migrant gangs. Here we have some cool video. Because I love video like this.
All right, everyone. Welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. We'll take a look at this really disturbing video. It has been making the rounds, going viral. This is out in Aurora, Colorado, and it's one that is making headlines, of course, all over the country, where the mayor of Aurora says Venezuelan gangs are overrunning apartment buildings there as part of an organized criminal effort. Local police have called the incidents isolated, but surveillance video from at least one of the complexes is very startling, as you can see from this video right here. Now, we want to go on for more on this story about what's happening in Aurora. We're joined by Fox News senior national correspondent William Lajeunesse. William.
Many say the problem began when the Biden-Harris team opened the border with migrant apprehensions from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, jumping from 17,000 in 2020 to 600,000 in 2022. So the administration created the CHNV program, which provided migrants from those four countries with humanitarian parole and invited them in. But auditors found widespread fraud in the program, migrants lying on their applications, sponsors using fraudulent identities, including dead people, and traffickers demanding payment from those they sponsored.
they're literally just funneling people into the United States under this program with no expectation they're ever going to leave.
And that's what sources say we are seeing now, a mix of innocent migrants along with graduates of the Venezuelan prison gang.
Apparently there is no evidence. These claims have been investigated. The Aurora Police Department says they found no evidence of it.
Venezuelan gang activity in Aurora. This week, Aurora has been in the national spotlight as videos have been circulating on social media showing gang members taking over apartments. It's important to note the city nor the Aurora Police Department have confirmed any of those claims. Colorado and federal law enforcement does confirm that the transnational crime organization Tren de Aragua are operating in the Denver metro area. Denver 7's Adria Ari.
What does that mean, though?
New reaction from Governor Jared Polis and Aurora's interim police chief. Good morning, Adria.
Yeah, good morning, Wanye. Videos have gone viral this week showing
Hey,
a group of males carrying guns in an apartment complex. Now, this is one of several buildings at the center of concern. Aurora police saying earlier this week, quote, APD has been increasingly collecting evidence to show the gang is connected to crimes in the area. They shared this video last night of officers looking into claims at the edge of Lowry Apartments. APD's interim police chief Heather Morris says gang members have not taken over the complex and they're reassuring the community they are investigating criminal activity.
We are actively investigating criminal activity that's happening and listening to them to so that we can learn anything that we're missing. You know, what are we missing, and actually find out what exactly is going on.
Governor Jared Polis spoke with CNN, saying the state is ready to step in at a moment's notice if Aurora.
Joey, good evening.
And adding that the state takes these kinds of threats very seriously. But he says Aurora officials have not raised that alarm.
So all we await is a call from Aurora saying there's any building in the control of any gang, and we are ready to help take it back. That call has not happened because Aurora Police does not currently believe, or they haven't told us, that there's any buildings in control of gangs.
Aurora's mayor, Mike Kaufman, on the other hand, says the city is seeking an emergency court order to shut down apartment buildings that he claims have been overrun by a Venezuelan gang by declaring them a criminal nuisance. And Mayor Kaufman says the apartments seeking gang activity are all under that same ownership that had multiple code violations and criminal activity preceding the migrant crisis, and a judge must grant that order before the city can clear out the buildings.
Yeah, well, thank you, Adria. This is obviously something that even presidential candidates are talking about right now, so thank you so much for bringing us this update.
It's a slumlord doing a racism.
The city of Aurora also confirming it has arrested a documented member of that gang. Police arrested this man Wednesday in connection to a shooting at the Nome Street Apartments that the city previously shut down over code violations. 2 people were shot and a third had a broken ankle. He is currently in ICE custody. Let's get to some other local.
That's why we need to teach the babies about CRT. We're going to let Alex Stein, who we've played on this show before, do some really fucking stupid shit. We're going to let Alex Stein teach. Flash says no. Teach some babies about critical race theory.
You know, the left want critical race theory shoved down children's throats from kindergarten onwards to make sure they're aware of their white privilege.
Like a big black dildo.
But how soon is too soon to teach the young'uns about what awful racists they are? Well, comic Alex Stein thinks it's never too early.
Because at one point, your ancestors owned slaves. Yes, they did. I don't care what they tell you. Even if you're not related to them, you being white is oppressive to a whole group of people. You are an oppressor. Do you understand that? The earlier you understand that you're an oppressor to not only black people, but also Hispanic people that are here illegally. Yes, you are. You are oppressing illegals.
Joining me now is host of Prime Time with Alex Stein. Alex Stein, explain yourself there. That poor infant. She's probably traumatized.
It wasn't funny.
Well, that's my producer's infant, so we can put that baby through anything, you know, because Jimmy, my producer, who's so great and dedicated to this show. But honestly, you know, Rita, that is a joke that the people on the left, you know, want to do critical race theory. Excuse me, that's not a joke. But what is the most disgusting thing that they want to do is they want to actually do sexual education in elementary school. So critical race theory isn't even half as bad as what these people on the left really want to do.
You
so
live in
this
sexual
is obviously
anarchy.
satire. And, you know, went
It's not. You actually believe that shit.
Just laughing and mocking it because this is sadly the real truth of what's happening here in America is people are being
It's not satire.
indoctrinated at a very young age.
And you know what? I have seen videos on X, on TikTok, Instagram, where it's not satire. Typically, it's mums with a child that young talking about their child's white privilege and how, you know, their upbringing is going to be different to the downtrodden. And yeah, you do fear about what messaging those poor kids are going to get as they grow up.
I saw it on TikTok.
Now.
Oh, whoa. I saw it on TikTok. That's everything now. I saw it on TikTok. I saw it on Twitter. That's the only thing they've got. They've got their feels. They saw it on fucking TikTok. It was always curated by something like Libs of TikTok too.
Humane Society of the Pikes Peak region is sharing a happy tale after a dog that went missing in Colorado Springs more than 2 years ago is finally being reunited with his family. Take a look at your screen. This is Bear. Now, according to the Humane Society, Bear was a Colorado family's dog who was with a pet sitter in April 2022 when he got loose. HSPPR said the family reported Bear as missing and looked everywhere but couldn't find him. Family then had to move from Colorado Springs to New York for the military.
Wow.
So they had to make a heartbreaking decision. They had to move across the country without Bear. HSPPR said they were working with a group of volunteers when animal law enforcement was alerted to a bear sighting.
A bear sighting.
After further research, they learned the missing dog was seen in the same place he went missing 2 years earlier. That group of volunteers went into action, and HSPPR said they recovered Bear's missing poster from 2022, set up feeding stations, and placed trail cameras around the area to find him. On August 18th, Bear was finally caught. HSPPR said they confirmed the stray dog was, in fact, Bear. And then they called his family, letting them know their long-lost dog had finally been found. Now, Bear's family was overjoyed to learn that the pet had been found, and after going to the groomers, receiving shots, and getting a clean bill of health, HSPPR said Bear was ready to be reunited with his family. This Sunday, Bear will be making the trip from Colorado to New York to finally be reunited with his family.
Fuck this. That's not
It's got a little bit of a rumble to it. I mean, it's a sports car.
Yeah, he didn't go anywhere.
Society of the Pikes Peak region is sharing a happy tale after a dog that went missing in Colorado Springs more than 2 years ago is finally being reunited with his family. Take a look at your screen. This is Bear. Now, according to the Humane Society, Bear was a Colorado family's dog.
If you're watching on Twitch, you're heading over to Tyler X Live.
HSPPR said the family reported Bear as missing and looked everywhere.
Go ahead, light one up, tip one back.
Family then had
It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack.
Springs.
I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol.
They had to make a hard
live.
decision. They had to move across the country without Bear. HSPPR said they were working with a group of volunteers